In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Ruan Mei, the other 5-star character besides Dr. Ratio that got released in 1.6, and basically give her a final review seeing that she's been out for almost a month now. Before I start today's video, I just want to say that from this video onwards, I won't stick to a fixed uploading schedule anymore. I feel like focusing more on my schoolwork as I'm going to uni next year, and I just want to make sure that I get the results that I'm happy with. I am still going to post videos, but maybe not on a weekly basis anymore. YouTube is something that I have always enjoyed, and I just want to say thank you to all of you. It's not easy starting a Genshin or start a channel from scratch, and I really appreciate every single comment that you guys have left. Alright, now that I've talked about the change that will happen to my channel, let's go back to today's video and talk about Ruan Mei. I got her the day that she came out, and I have to say that she feels really strong as a support unit. Her weakness break buff comes in really handy all the time, and I'll quickly go through her kit so that you'll better understand her playstyle when I explain it later in the video. So first of all, her normal attack is nothing out of the ordinary, and so that is that. But I think all of you guys can agree that her skill is where she shines as a top tier harmony character. It increases the overall damage that is dealt by all characters, and it also gives a weakness break efficiency buff, and the skill's effect lasts for 3 turns. Or in other words, it runs out after Ruan Mei takes the field 3 times. This part of her kit really makes Ruan Mei a better option than a character like Ting Yun. Now, I know this will depend on the DPS that you're playing on the team, as Ting Yun buffs lightning type characters a bit more with her talent as shown on the screen. But in most cases, Ting Yun's overall damage buff only comes from her ultimate, while Ruan Mei can do this with her skill, albeit at a lower percentage increase. While both characters have advantages over the other in other fields, such as Ting Yun being able to regenerate energy as well, I just want to use this example to illustrate how Ruan Mei is a slightly more skill point friendly character than your other harmony path characters are in the game. That being said, you would of course want to use her ultimate as well, and saying that Ruan Mei's ultimate costs 130 energy, you would probably want to use her skill as much as possible to use her ultimate as often as possible in battle, if that makes sense. And so talking about her ultimate, it deploys a field that lasts for 2 turns, and while this field is active, all characters on the team will gain an all type resistance penetration buff. In addition, enemies that have been attacked at least once when the field is active will be marked by this flower thing, which deals damage when they try to recover from a weakness break, and it also postpones its recover. This damage scales off of Ruan Mei's break effect, and this is why break effect is one of the main stats that you will want to build on her, and I'll talk about this in more detail later in the Relics section of the video. What's more is that she can also give your team a speed buff with her talent, and that is basically all the buffs that she can provide as a harmony character. You also have her technique, which is basically her skill. It's used immediately after entering battle, and it doesn't consume any skill points, while also giving you the energy that you would normally get from using her skill. One interesting thing about Ruan Mei's technique is that it has an additional buff for Simulated Universe, in which enemies' toughness bars are reduced regardless of their weakness types, and the toughness break damage is increased based on how many blessings you possess. Overall, her kit consists of basically most of the things that you would want to look for in a harmony character. Alright, so moving on to her lightcone options and also her relics. As usual, her signature lightcone is her best in slot. It gives her a flat break effect buff while also increasing all allies' overall damage once again. One reason why this lightcone is really strong is that it will give your team 1 skill point at the beginning of a battle if you have more than 150 break effect on the character that is equipping this lightcone. It also regenerates energy for all allies whenever a new wave of enemies appear. Sadly, I wasn't able to get my hands on this lightcone when its banner was out, and I would definitely say get this lightcone if possible when it comes back. But still, if you're like me, luckily you can still use other 4-star lightcones on Ruan Mei, and some of them are pretty solid choices. Dance is a pretty good option as it advances the actions of all teammates when Ruan Mei uses her ultimate. Planetary Rendezvous is good as well when you're using Ruan Mei with Jinglu, as it buffs the damage of characters of the same type. However, the best one in my opinion is probably going to be Memories of the Past, which I'm using on my Ruan Mei at the moment. It gives break effect, which is the stat that Ruan Mei needs the most, and it also regenerates a bit of extra energy whenever she deals an attack. This can help out a tiny bit for her energy demand, which is why I think this is probably her best 4-star lightcone. Moving on to her relics, before you tell me that there are probably new sets of relics coming to the game in 2.0, yes, I know that, but I don't look at the details of the leaks, and so as of right now, nothing about these new sets have been released by Hoververse officially. So for this part of the video, I'll be sticking to the sets that are already in the game. As of 1.6, the best 4-piece set for Ruan Mei is the Thieves of Shooting Meteor set, and for the Planet Ornament is the Kingdom of Banditry set. 4-piece Thief of Shooting Meteor gives a total of 32% break effect, and it also regenerates free energy whenever Ruan Mei inflicts a weakness break, which can be triggered with her ultimate flower effect. As for the Kingdom of Banditry set, it gives a total of 36% break effect when your Ruan Mei has over 145 speed. As I said, you would want to have as much break effect as possible on Ruan Mei, and that's the reason why the sets that I mentioned are the best for her. As for the main stats for the individual pieces, go for attack percent for the body piece, speed for the feet piece, energy regeneration for the link rope, which I will explain in a bit, and ice damage boost for the Panosphere. In terms of substats, you would want to look for break effect, speed, and attack percent. Generally speaking, you will want to have around 160 to 180% break effect so that you can maximize the effect of this major trace on the screen right now, which increases her skill's damage buff. Okay, moving on to her team comps. This is where you'll find it very easy to fit Ruan Mei in any sort of team. Of course, as a harmony type character, any DPS will work with her, However, she will perform better when paired up with characters that specialize in DOT damage. Ruan Mei's ability to basically reapply a weakness break on enemies means that they'll take another instance of DOT damage, and this is why Kafka is probably one of the best DPS characters to be paired up with Ruan Mei. Alternatively, you can also have a Jingliu team with Ruan Mei, as I mentioned earlier. Realistically speaking, you can pair it with any DPS and she'll work great, and so the only thing you'll need to think about when building a team when you have Ruan Mei on your account is whether another Harmony Path character will be better for that situation. For example, if you're planning on using Sealer, Bronya would of course be much better, but overall, Ruan Mei is one of the top, if not the best Harmony characters in the game right now, and so as long as you follow the basic rules of building a team in the game, you shouldn't find any problems when building a team with Ruan Mei. Now that I've talked about all the technical things about Ruan Mei, let's move on to her idlings, because why not? So first of all, her E1 buffs her ultimate by making it so that it gives an additional effect of ignoring 20% of the enemy's defense. E2 gives an attack buff to characters when attacking enemies who have their toughness bar broken. You guys know what E3 and E5 do, so I'm not going to talk about them. As for E4, it increases Ruan Mei's break effect by an insane amount of 100% every single time an enemy's toughness bar is broken. And finally, E6 extends Ruan Mei's ultimate duration by 1 turn, and it also raises the scaling cap for her talent. I'd say E1 is already enough if you're planning on getting your hands on her idlings, and although all these additional buffs from her idling all make her an even better support than what she already is at E0, I feel like getting her signature lightcone would be a lot better, as you would get more buffs with one copy of a lightcone than with one idling, if that makes sense. And so to end off today's video, I would definitely give Ruan Mei an overall score of 9 out of 10 as of 1.6. And as for the reason why I'm not giving her a 10 out of 10 is because energy is the only issue that I have with her. Sometimes when you enter a battle without any energy at all, it takes around 2 to 3 full turns to get her ultimate, depending on whether you use her skill or her basic attack. But still, this isn't really that big of a deal, and there are ways around it, like for example using her technique before entering the battle so that you'll get the same amount of energy as when you use her skill, or you can use consumables to give her energy before entering a battle. I'd say if you don't have Ruan Mei for some reason, definitely keep your eyes out for her next banner when it does return. But either way, this is going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!